age of wonder. 1,000 years ago, this land was green and good, until the crystal cracked. Welcome to the Pixel Pop Movie Podcast. I'm your host this fortnight, Toby. With me this fortnight, I'm joined by the podling Ethan.
Hup, hup.
Hup, hup. And the Gartham Lucas.
I don't know what that means, so I'm going to assume that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Nah.
By the way you reacted, I'm assuming it's a very good thing.
It's the best thing.
Yeah.
So if you haven't guessed it already, our topic of conversation, or one of our topics of conversation this fortnight is the new Dark Crystal TV series, The Resistance. We're going to be doing a spoiler-free review of that because it's still very fresh and a lot of people probably haven't finished it yet. And then I haven't explained too much about this to the lads, so it's going to be interesting. Other topic of conversation this fortnight is the blip in the MCU. So we had the snap, then we had the blip. And I watched a couple of YouTube videos on this recently, and I sort of had a few interesting ideas, and I think it's worth conversation. So we're going to deal with that. But before all of that, there is so much news and trailers that, I mean, we're pretty much just going to have to play this back at 1.5 speed because there's just so much. So let's stop mucking around. Let's get into it. Take us away, Ethan.
First bit of news we got is something pretty big. Something's been rumored for a while, and that is The Matrix 4 is officially happening, with Keanu Reeves, Carrie-Anne Moss back, and Lana Wachowski is returning to direct.
Why? To me, bringing back the characters in Neo and Trinity sounds more like of a sort of a cash grab, almost, rather than interesting story. We're keeping you awake, Ethan. Or are you just that excited about Matrix 4?
Yeah, I just wish I could hibernate now until it comes out.
People are going to go see it. It's got Canoe in it, and it's obviously still a couple of years away. So we'll see a lot more and hear a lot more between now and release. But tentative at this stage from me.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's address the elephant in the room, shall we?
Yeah, Marvel Studios will no longer be involved in the future Spider-Man movies.
What?
So I was kind of hoping this situation would have evolved by the time we posted this article to today.
Apparently there are rumors of more talks happening where it could be resolved, but we don't know. At this stage, the Spider-Man movies will continue with Tom Holland. They just won't be co-produced by Kevin Feige or under the MCU banner anymore.
Yeah. The only good I can see coming from this is it means that we're probably going to see Spider-Man in Venom and the other characters that Sony have.
We should bring up the other piece of news that came with this the other day that you and I were talking about yesterday, Ethan, with Venom.
Oh yeah, it was a rumor going around that apparently Tom Holland did film a cameo for Venom, but Marvel made Sony take it out.
Yeah. Now, do you recall pre that film that even we had heard that news there was a lot of rumors that Holland was in it, but as Parker and not Spider-Man. So it was obviously filmed. Yeah.
Apparently he was on set. Yeah.
The footage does exist. Apparently it has been seen and it has been scrapped.
Next we had a trailer for Antlers, a new horror movie coming out from Fox Searchlight, starring Kerry Russell and Jesse Plemons. This looks pretty damn creepy.
It does.
Cool.
Looks like it's going to be good. Next, we had a trailer for Rambo: Last Blood.
Yeah,
that's all I have to say on it. But
yeah, I the more trailers I see, the less I'm feeling hyped for this film. I don't know. Could just be me.
Moving on, we have a trailer for Ready or Not, another new horror movie coming out from Fox Searchlight very soon.
Yeah, this one looks cool. This one actually, the trailers for this one have kind of slipped by the radar. It came out, I think, last Thursday or last Friday in the States. It doesn't come out here until October, around Halloween, but all the reviews for it have been excellent.
Next, we had a bunch of news drop during D23.
Oh boy, did we.
We have confirmation that Kat Dennings' Darcy from the first two Thor movies and Randall Park's Jimmy Woo from Ant-Man and the Wasp will be returning to the MCU in WandaVision, as well as Catherine Hahn as a newcomer who will play a nosy neighbor. Not only that, we also got confirmation that the 6-part series is going to be a sitcom.
Nice.
And apparently nothing like anything in the MCU. Apparently it's going to be very, very weird.
I'll be honest, this kind of makes sense if they're going to do it as a sitcom, because even though you've got the two leads are Lizzie Olsen and Paul Bettany. Paul Bettany's also a pretty funny dude. You've got Kat Dennings, who's hysterical, Randall Park, who's hysterical, and Catherine Hahn, who's hysterical. So if they're actually going to utilize the best attributes of all the actors they're going to have involved, doing it as a sitcom is this kind of weird what I can only imagine is like a sitcom subversion of her, like of Scarlet Witch going proper insane and trying to like contextualize Vision's death into something that she can handle. Like the sitcom kind of works in a way, if you get what I mean.
Well, we have no story details apart from the fact that they showed some concept art of Vision and Wanda sitting on a couch in like a 50s, 60s style home, and the shadows behind them were of Vision looking
Classic
like his
suits.
android self and Scarlet Witch having her classic suit. Following on from that, we got confirmation that a She-Hulk MCU series is coming to Disney Plus, which has been rumored for quite a while.
Now, in the comic books, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't She-Hulk the Banner's cousin?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's related
Right.
to him. I don't know if I can't remember if it was the cousin or not.
He's a lawyer
But
who's
she's
had encounters with Nelson and Murdoch too.
Yeah, I
Yes,
think
later on.
that's going to be. They'll probably change that. I would expect that to change. What's going to be interesting is, are we going to see any returning cast or characters from the Hulk movie? You know, maybe not Liv Tyler, but there's a good chance for the Abomination to come back in, perhaps.
Maybe, as well as I'll say Mark Ruffalo would be involved in some respect. I would say.
It'd be you'd think.
Ooh, what if that is
Or
how they
it would
bring
not.
Murdoch back in?
If they bring who in, sorry?
Matt Murdock. What? No, seriously. What if this is the way they bring in? They start.
Wait.
Netflix guys in?
This could work because wasn't the contract for Netflix that Disney wasn't allowed to do anything with the Netflix characters for like 3 years?
Yeah, and we don't have a time.
We already have
She-Hulk.
Yeah, we already have all the whole Phase 4, which is up until 2022.
Yeah,
This surpasses the 3 years, so they could bring Nelson and Murdoch back.
yeah.
for this.
They could totally do it. This is
Yeah.
how they would start. I would imagine because She-Hulk is also based in New York.
Yeah.
There's a lot of heroes in New York.
I mean,
Yeah.
there is a lot of heroes in New York, but you know, you have her. She's a lawyer. Who's the other lawyer in New York with superpowers?
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Well, following from that, we have Miss Marvel live-action TV show has been confirmed for Disney Plus too. They said that, well, she will debut in her own TV series. She will then move on to the movies afterwards.
I feel like this is how they're going to start introducing a lot of the B, C, D tier characters. Because look at it, like so far, look at who they've announced. They've announced Miss Marvel, like Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. They've announced the third one, and they've also announced She-Hulk. Not only that, like realistically, there was no way we were probably ever going to get a Hawkeye solo film, and there was no way that we were going to get maybe like a Scarlet Witch and Vision film. So maybe they're testing the waters with these series. But yeah, like they could totally do like the 6 to 8 episode thing, like essentially mini series to introduce a character or characters, and then that would then eventually kind of bring them in to eventually become part of the films. Because I could totally see it working.
Following on from that, we also got confirmation that Wyatt Russell has joined the cast of Falcon and the Winter Soldier as
We
John
missed
Walker.
we missed the last announcement.
I'm getting there.
Are we?
Wyatt Russell has been confirmed as John Walker, who is also known as US Agent, someone else who takes up the Captain America mantle at one point. That was some of the news we got for that. They also announced the director for the whole series. No, that was the Loki series got a director. I can't remember who it was. But following on from this, we have one of the biggest news that everyone lost their minds over, and that is the Moon Knight TV series is coming to Disney Plus.
Yeah,
Yes.
and we'd kind of been wanting this on on Netflix when that was all happening. So this is pretty cool. You ever wanted to see Marvel do Batman? Here you go, but kind of different but same.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh.
Following on from that, Luke's put a bit of news here saying CM Punk was at StarCast 3 this weekend, and they brought up his acting career, and he said he'd like to play either Kraven the Hunter or Moon Knight. And there's also been rumors going around that Shia LaBeouf is being sought after for Moon Knight, which is, he's a bit of a crazy guy. He could do Moon Knight. There you go. I doubt he would. I doubt he would, to be honest, but he might. Next, we had a trailer for The World According to Jeff Goldblum coming to Disney Plus on launch.
Looks like a bit of fun.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff Goldblum's weird as fuck, so why not?
Yeah, I think Disney's, obviously seen the response people have had to Goldblum lately and just cashing in a little bit, but that's fine.
Yeah. Following on from that news, we got the first official trailer for The Mandalorian, which is also a launch title. Although Disney's way they're doing it is all the shows will be released weekly, not all at once to binge. The Mandalorian looks fucking good.
It does look very good.
It looks really good. What do you think of the trailer, Toby?
Yeah, I'm not a Star Wars person. I never have been, but I thought it looked a little bit darker than sort of the original trilogy.
Give me like a Rogue One sort of vibe.
Possibly. It actually sort of got me whetted the appetite, and I don't think we'll ever see it. But I sort of watched it and went, gee, I'd really love to see like an MA15 plus Star Wars film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where like they just push it darker. Yeah, it looked alright. I said, I'm not a massive Star Wars person. I enjoyed Solo. So I'll probably... I'm going to get Disney Plus, so I'll probably watch this.
I would say this is probably the closest you'll get to being like a dark Star Wars thing. Like MA15. Yeah. This will be the closest you'll get to it.
Yeah, he's the Punisher of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also got a release date for Black Panther sequel, set for 2022, with Ryan Coogler coming back as director. I think this will be the first movie for Phase 5, I think.
Yeah.
Also, following for more Marvel news, Gemma Chan, who recently appeared in Captain Marvel as Minerva, has joined the cast of The Eternals as Cersei. And Kit Harington, who played Jon Snow in Game of Thrones, has joined as Dane Whitman, also known as the Black Knight.
Glad to see he's getting away from that typecasting.
Yeah. We also got a first look at Emma Stone in Disney's live-action Cruella movie, based on Cruella de Vil in the 70s?
Yeah,
no, 60s.
60s, mate.
It's very punk.
60s.
I kind of dig it.
Yeah. Oh, no, in the 70s. No, it's being set in the 70s.
Oh, it's set. No, just when the original film came out, though.
Yeah,
60s,
1961.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
1961. But this is being set in the 70s, yeah.
Yeah, it's very punk looking, and I kind of dig it, especially if they're going to go with like the youth of Emma Stone.
We also had a trailer for Lady and the Tramp coming to Disney Plus on launch, I think.
Interesting that this one is a live-action remake that's skipping the cinemas.
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole point. They're looking to do more of those now.
But I don't think this one would do well in cinemas at all either.
Yeah, anything that's a big action film, like Aladdin, it's got big action scenes, it's got songs, dancers jumping around, special effects. The same with Mulan. But, Lady and the Tramp is two dogs and some talking. Like, it's not a huge action. Yeah, so I think the Disney stuff that's more conversational, more drama, less action is probably going to be better suited to the streaming service anyway.
Yeah.
There was a cool little feel-good story with this. The dog that's actually going to be playing the tramp was a rescue.
Yeah.
Nice. There's a really cool story around it. I'd advise seeking it out. I'm probably not going to go into all of it right now, but rather than going off and trying to find the perfect dog for the role, they actually went around to animal shelters and to kill shelters and actually rescued the dog and put it as the lead in the film and given it this whole new life. So
now onto some big news. Someone was looking through Netflix and they found a Netflix page called El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie, and the synopsis reads: fugitive Jesse Pinkman runs from his captives, the law, and his past. Written and directed by Breaking Bad creator Vince Gilligan. This is all we heard. Rumors that they were making one, that some people had been cast, and that was all we heard. So this came out this leak, and then I think some news station in America picked up on it and blew it all up. And then a day later, the trailer came out for it, and it's announced that on October 11th we will get the Breaking Bad movie that they filmed entirely in secret.
Right.
Without anyone actually knowing it was in production or anything. The whole movie's been filmed.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's Nathan Fillion up to, Ethan?
Well, Nathan Fillion is climbed aboard James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, which is no surprise because Nathan Fillion is good buds with him and has been he's had a cameo in both Guardians movies. There was one in Guardians 2 was cut. So Nathan Fillion's on board as a unknown who he's playing.
Please be Christ Man.
And we also
need
have
more Christ Man in our life.
Taika Waititi is apparently up for a role in the movie too.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
And one other person as well, Steve Agee, or G, however you pronounce it, he was in Guardians 2 as Giff, one of the higher-ranking Ravagers, has joined as King Shark.
Okay.
Oh, did that just get announced?
Outside a couple of days ago.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. We also got a special look at Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. Showing little clips of the next movie.
Yep.
Some good shots in there. Definitely gets the hype up a little bit. For some reason, for this at all, I hold no hype for The Rise of Skywalker. I'll go watch it when it comes out, but I'm just like, cool.
This has actually sent Reddit into meltdown.
Today.
There's some very interesting shots that line up with production notes that have been rumored So yeah, it's if I was reading something today that someone's basically predicted the plot of the third film, and it's very. I won't get into spoilers, but it is very. It does feel very Return of the Jedi-ish, but yeah, if it's close to what this guy's predicting, like this could be a crazy film.
Crazy. Speaking of crazy, Lucy in the Sky.
Yeah, tell us about that, Toby.
Yeah, Natalie Portman.
Great Beatles song.
Yeah, it is. She goes up into space. She comes back, and she wants to go back because there's I believe there's like an actual psychological condition that goes with like this feeling of being, you know, above the world or alone or whatever. I don't know, but it's a story of female astronaut, and she's obviously getting a little older, and then what she has to do to get back up there, and how that impacts her family and all that sort of stuff. It looks pretty good. If you're into, The First Man and these other sort of astronaut biopics that have been going up lately, and there's a lot of people that are, this is probably right up your alley. It looks okay. Acting looks pretty good from what I can see in the trailer.
Starring Natalie Portman, John Hamm, Zazie Beetz, and Dan Stevens. And also directed by Noah Hawley, who's done Legion, which also stars Dan Stevens.
Yeah, it looks okay. It's not going to be for everybody, but as I said, if you're into a space biopic, it looks pretty good.
We had the final trailer for Joker.
Bobby De Niro.
Out October 4th.
Yep.
I'm still yeah, I'll probably watch it. I'm not hyped for it, but I'll watch it.
I think it's going to be very different to what we've ever seen before.
Yeah, I don't think there's any like special powers or abilities or anything like that in this. I think it's just fully realistic, gritty, like Dark Knight.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if we even see Batman at all. Like, I think he might get a mention, or you might see him at the very, very end, but that's about it. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to really be. It's not going to be a superhero film either. I don't think.
No, not at all.
No. I think it's been pretty well documented about Joaquin Phoenix has always wanted to do a case study film on a comic book villain. So I kind of think that this is going to be very separate to everything. Like, I don't even think we're going to we may get a teaser of the Waynes, but that'll probably be that might be as close as we get.
Yeah,
it's going to be very removed from everything, and this is just going to be a Joker story.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what we're getting.
But it did also get us 8-minute standing ovation at its premiere. So
the reviews coming out have been really good.
I've also been reading. Well, it's been very split down the middle. Some of the reviews, like I've been reading a few of the reviews, and
it got certified fresh though, didn't it? It got like 85 or something.
I don't know if it's been certified, but it is fresh at the moment. IGN gave it 10 out of 10. I think Variety gave it 5 out of 5. So it's kind of like getting these excellent reviews at one end. But then there's other reviews like Roger Ebert, one of the guys that writes for his website, said it is incomprehensible garbage, and it's just awful. And there's a whole bunch of other reviews as well. It seems to be a very divisive film in that either you absolutely love it or you're gonna hate it.
I think it's going to be very psychological, and I think that's why it's going to be unwatchable for some.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to be good and evil, I'm a bad guy, ha ha ha. This is going to be very morally ambiguous, and, the descent into depression and madness. And I think it's going to be a real hard watch for some people.
Yeah. Especially with how honest a lot of Scorsese's films tend to be. Like he doesn't really. When
you watch this trailer, and you see this is a man that slips through the cracks. He's talking to his psychologist or whatever, and this is a guy that, his life is going nowhere, and he's slipping through the cracks, and he's going to lose the plot.
And the thing is, as well, he knows that. Like that's the other thing. Like he even says like the thing about how what is it? He can't be fixed, or
he just says that every thought is negative.
That's right.
He's nothing but negative.
Because I'm
thoughts.
negative.
Yeah.
So like he knows that how broken he is, and he just kind of like comes to accept it. I do like though that they're kind of leaning into. I didn't think I would at first, but they're very much leaning into some of the Killing Joke backstory, where he's a failed comedian.
Yeah.
But rather than being like, hey, you're going to lose everything. You're going to lose everything, and then you're going to fall into a vat of acid. It's the reason he's losing, like him losing those things, is the reason he succumbs to his madness instead.
Dun, 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 dun,
Yes, we got a new trailer for Terminator Dark Fate, which is out November 1st this year.
I gotta say, this is like the Rambo thing. The more I see this, the less I'm interested.
That's good.
You just don't give a shit at all. What was interesting, there was a couple of sites reporting that Cameron was never on set, ever. Not once.
Yeah, I heard that.
Like, sort of, he's done the script and he's done this bit and then walked away. Yeah.
That's bad if that's true.
Yeah.
But
He's too busy with Avatar.
Apparently, Cameron said that he watched the other 3 Terminator movies. So he watched Salvation, Genesis, and another one. He said he watched 3 Terminator movies. Maybe he's talking about Terminator 3.
Three, and then Salvation, and then Genesis. Yeah.
And Genesis. He said he watched those so he knew not what to do.
Yeah. I'm...
Well, we'll find out.
I know people want this to be good. People, we sort of put this up on our Facebook page about what people thought about the trailer, and the comments we got back was everyone was like, "Please be good." But I don't think the trailer has instilled confidence in anybody.
I'm still cautiously optimistic about it. Like, if it truly is going to be a direct sequel to T2, like, yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like, I hope it's good.
Yeah.
Really hope it's good.
We had a trailer here for a movie Lucas is talking about called Motherless Brooklyn, starring Bruce Willis and Edward Norton, as well as Willem Dafoe. It's got a massive cast.
Right, what's that about?
So some guy with
Edward Norton's character has Tourette's, yeah, and he teams up with he gets given an opportunity by Bruce Willis, who's also a private investigator, to work under him as kind of like a private investigator in training. And he gets messed up, and then it's up to Edward Norton's character to find out what's happened. But it kind of deals with all this 1950s political corruption, and it looks pretty cool. Like, I'm just going through the list here. So it's Bruce Willis, Gugu Mbatha-Raw, Bobby Cannavale, Michael Kenneth Williams, Leslie Mann, Ethan Suplee, Fisher Stevens, Alec Baldwin, Willem Dafoe, and Edward Norton is the lead. He also helped produce it, and he directed it. So
Okay.
does look cool.
Alright. Well, while you're at it, you might as well tell us all about the report then.
Yeah, the report.
So the report, that's the new Adrian Brody one about 9/11. Sorry, Adam Driver, that's right.
Adam Driver.
I don't know why I mixed them up. But yeah, it's all about 9/11.
Oh, okay. What is it's in looking at it afterwards and what went wrong or what happened?
Yeah, I still don't know a whole lot about it. I haven't watched the trailer.
Alright, so
I've heard.
What's the spiel then, Ethan? You've got the blurb. What is it?
Senate staffer Daniel J. Jones, played by Adam Driver, is tasked with leading an investigation into CIA's systematic torture of terror suspects in the years following the September 11 attacks.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not quite September 11 then. This is about CIA using questionable methods of interrogation. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
Interrogation techniques.
Yeah.
Stars Adam Driver, Annette Bening, John Hamm, Jennifer Morrison, Tim Blake Nelson, Ben McKenzie, Michael C. Hall, Matthew Reese. Big cast.
Yeah, not a bad cast, yeah. Alright, that's interesting. That's probably put it more on my radar now, actually. I like CIA stuff, so...
Richard Linklater will shoot Merrily We Roll Along for 20 years.
What?
This is crazy.
What the fuck? What is this?
So Merrily We Roll Along is like a book, I think. And the story itself takes place over the course of 20 years.
Okay,
so
and then rather than aging and de-aging, he's gonna get actors and then just wait 20 years.
Yeah. So he did this with another story called Boyhood, where he filmed it over the course of 12 years.
Right.
And filmed the same person.
So he's either artistic or he's batshit crazy.
He's definitely artistic. Richard Linklater, of course he's artistic.
Okay.
For those that know him, he did A Scanner Darkly. You know, he's always into that weird experimental shit.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
But yeah, he's committed the next 20 years of his life to making this alongside of other things. It's not like this is going to be the only thing he does. The interesting thing about this whole thing, though, is that he's teaming up with Blumhouse, who do horror movies. And Jason Blum posted did an interview about it, and they were like, "This is such an odd thing for you to be doing," and he was like, yeah, it's either we do horror movies or we do musicals, and just kind of laughed it off. And then Jason Blum also made another joke, a bit more political joke, but it was, he goes, the most ambitious thing about doing this project with Richard Linklater is assuming we'll have a planet in 20 years to screen this film on.
Right.
But, yeah, it's going to be interesting.
And last
speaking of things like that, there was one I saw a while back, John Malkovich stars in it. He wrote it as well, and it's directed by Robert Rodriguez. The movie's not being released until 2115. They're not screening the movie for 100 years.
What?
Yeah. It's been filmed, done, everything like that. But it will not be... Oh, yeah, and that song that Pharrell did for the movie called 100 Years is on there as well, but it won't be seen.
And then some bastard, like, rips it and sticks it on the Pirate Bay, and it's like the whole thing, the whole marketing is just fucked.
Yeah. Alright, so there's 2 bits of news left. One I'll get to quick. And it was the live-action Flash movie has found its new director, and Andy Muschietti, who recently did the first 2, at Chapter 1 and at Chapter 2. He signed on as the director for the new Flash.
Cool.
Now, we also have live-action Mortal Kombat movie casting. Now, a while back, we had Joe Towson was cast as Sub-Zero. He was the first bit of casting we got. And then we also got Tadanobu Asano was cast a while back as Raiden. You know him as Hogan from the 3 Thor movies. We also recently got Sissy Stringer's been cast as Melina. I think she's a newcomer. Mika Brooks, who's Jimmy Olsen on the Supergirl TV show. He's come on as Jax. Chin Han has come on as Shang Tsung. Ludi Lin, who was the Black Ranger in the most recent Power Rangers live-action movie, as well as the Black Mirror episode Striking Vipers. He is Liu Kang. We have Jessica McNamee, who is Sonya Blade. She was seen in the Meg. We have Hiroyuki Sanada, who is Scorpion, which is great, an older Scorpion, and Hiroyuki's a great actor. And we also have Josh Lawson has been cast as Kano, which is extremely surprising, but also fucking great. And Lewis Tan, who has been making the rounds in Wu Assassins. He was in 1 episode of Iron Fist the first season. He was Shatterstar in Deadpool 2. He is undisclosed at this time. I think he's the main lead. So I guess he could be someone new coming into the Mortal Kombat and seeing all these characters. Which is my guess.
And we can't say how or why we know, but we have had rumours too that the film will be using some very unique and custom cameras and lenses. We don't know much more about that at this stage, but it sounds interesting. You can hypothesize about that all you want. But for a film to be using handmade original pieces, like in terms of video recording equipment, that's pretty interesting. X-rays? X-ray moves?
One can hope.
That'd be neat. I don't know how you'd even do that, but that'd be kind of neat. Alright, we had the results from a Facebook poll recently too, which was, which do you prefer for movies, a commercial soundtrack such as Guardians of the Galaxy or an original score such as Star Wars? We put that on our Facebook poll after our last podcast. I got a really good response. A lot of people kind of wanted both, of course, but Facebook didn't let us have more than 2 options. But the results came back with 30% for a commercial soundtrack and 70% for an original score. I thought that was kind of interesting. So, just putting that out there. Alright, so shall we move into some The Dark Crystal, The Resistance spoiler-free chat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, so Lucas can make himself a coffee, because he hasn't watched it. But we're not going to take too long on this. So, I finished it all. Ethan's nearly finished it all. Spoiler-free though, what do you think?
Yep. I am really enjoying it. It's the puppetry's great. Obviously, it looks better than the original one, which was what, 70s, 80s?
81.
Yeah,
81. It looks amazing. The scenes are great. I still have a gripe with the usage of CGI on the show.
Okay.
That's like my main gripe with the whole thing. I get it for some things they need CGI. I just wish it wasn't. I just wish it was still just all puppets.
Mm-hmm.
But it's great to be back in this world and for it to be more fleshed out and explored more than what we got with the one movie.
It's interesting you bring up CGI too, because I don't know if you've seen it. There's actually an hour and a half making of on Netflix as well.
I haven't watched that yet, no.
Yeah, there's a lot more CG in there than you realise. You know, things from
there would be,
backgrounds, like, you know, having characters on top of a cliff and looking into their eyes and that sort of stuff. They're not using matte paintings. What was neat was things like they used CG for the tongues on the sketches.
Yeah, I was going to say, that you can tell they're using CGI for the stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I I've watched the whole thing. To me, what's going to put a lot of people off is the same thing that put people off in the movie, in that it's a bit slow. There's a lot of lore in this, and if you're not interested in it or you're not going to appreciate it, it's going to drag its feet for you. I was kind of waiting for the action to kick in all season, and it just sort of never quite kicked in. There's action moments, but you're sort of waiting for that Lord of the Rings kind of moment, and it's just not there. And it is a bit slow in terms of the puppets. Of course, you don't want to ever be looking at the screen and thinking, well, they're just puppets. Like, the story should be good enough that you don't think that. And a lot of the time I wasn't thinking that, but there's a few times where I just sort of went, oh, okay, it's a puppet. I can see how they use CG for certain things like blinking and stuff. My only, I mean, puppetry's a difficult thing, and I'm glad they did the puppets. My only gripe, the only thing I'd like to see them improve is the mouth movement on the Gelfling. Because the Skeksis are so articulate, like their tongues, their mouths, the way are so articulate. The way they tilt their heads and express themselves was fantastic. But the Gelflings at times still look like someone with a hand up their ass. And, you know, like the head turns, but then all the shoulders turn as well. And it looked like Kermit the Frog. Like, they had a few Kermit the Frog moments. And I would have, if they can't do it with the puppetry, then maybe with the CG assistance. But things like when they're saying letters like M and, you know, and things like this that need mouths to be in a specific way. Like, if you look at the Skeksis when they say the letter L, like, you can really see the CGI tongue hit the roof of the mouth. But they didn't seem to do much of that with the Gelflings, and it's those times when I went, oh, it's a puppet, because it's just a guy opening and closing his hand when the character's talking, and it just, that broke it for me a little bit. And I know they wanted to dial the CG right back, and I appreciate that, but I would have liked to have seen just some of the mouths getting a bit more touched up on the Gelflings, because I really think it would have made, at least for me, it would have kept me in the disbelief a bit longer. But apart from that, if you liked the world of Dark Crystal in the original movie and all of the creatures and the amazing stuff going on, you're going to love the show. It's more of that. They're very true to the original film, very, very faithful to the original film, and I enjoyed it, and I'm definitely looking forward to either a season 2 or maybe a sequel film. Yeah. Because it was good. There's a lot of lore. I really do feel that this series enhances the movie. And I would even say, if you've not seen the movie, you don't need to watch the movie first. I would actually suggest you watch the TV show first and then watch the movie, because I know the movie confuses some people because there's so much lore. The TV show takes the time to explain it, and I think if you did a TV series first and then the movie, you might enjoy the movie more, because you get a better understanding of what the bloody hell's going on, because the movie does really drop you in the middle of the story, so to speak. So if you struggled with the movie in the past, start with the TV show. It might hook you in better. But yeah, great to see it. Obviously it cost a lot of money. We won't know for another 3 or 4 weeks whether Netflix are going to renew it or not, but yeah, it was really enjoyable, and I hope it does. I'm as selfish as I am, because I'm always been more of a Labyrinth person than a Dark Crystal person. So my biggest selfish motivation here is I hope this does amazingly well, so then they decide to come back and do a Labyrinth series or something, because that'll really float my boat. But yeah, it's good. It's good, and but don't go in expecting fast action, kind of thing. There is a lot of dialogue, there is a lot of slower moments, and it's not going to be for everyone, so you really want to be getting comfortable. It may even be the sort of thing that you don't binge as well, because it is a little bit slower. You might get fatigued. It might be the sort of thing that you just watch an episode a night, and it might be more digestible in that way too. Just some thoughts. Alright, well, let's flip on to our next topic of conversation. I'm looking forward to this, because I think it's going to get vocal. So I'm looking forward to this. We're going to talk about The Blip. And for those that aren't familiar, this is specific to Avengers Endgame when... so spoilers for Avengers Endgame, but if you haven't seen it by now, too bad. When Professor Hulk snaps his finger with the glove on and brings everybody back. And I thought about this a little bit, and it's sort of... I watched a few YouTube videos. There's not a lot of dialogue about this because, it's a movie, and it's a comic book movie, but for people like me that love to nitpick shit, and this is where Lucas and I are going to clash horns, it's fantastic. There's some problems doing a blip. And the Spider-Man Far From Home really didn't deal with it at all. If you think about it, it's just a case of life goes on. Like, it really didn't even talk about the blip in any big way. But let's think about this seriously for a moment. So, Thanos snaps his fingers, and 50% of all living things, humans, birds, cats, dogs, gone. Right? Yes? Yes. And then 5 years later, it all comes back. Now, depending on how literally you want to take this, you can start. Let's start big. The Earth is in a different place in orbit. So, do you reappear exactly where you were? In which case, you're now floating in space.
Well, here's the thing: the directors, or maybe the writers, can't remember which one. Someone asked them about this.
This has all been addressed.
All right. Well, then let's. But I bet you a lot of it hasn't. So let's keep going. But yeah, okay. So what?
So
McFeely and that have addressed this all of this.
Yeah.
Right, whether
that's what they said.
Within universe. Before Ethan kicks into it, I'll let him explain it, but they've explained it within universe. It doesn't necessarily make sense within science and within reality. However, this is a film where someone picked 6 stones randomly out of the universe and was able to kill half of the life in the universe.
I know.
Keep that in mind. Like, there's
absolutely.
There's no.
I know, and Dory, I'm starting big, but it's gonna come back down to more grounded topics. I just thought I'd start at the top and kind of bring it back in. Right. So what was the explanation for that, for instance?
So the explanation is they said that this Hulk is smart Hulk. That's what they said. He's smart. So when he snapped his fingers to bring everyone back, he thought, okay, I'll bring them back either in the same location. If that's not safe, they'll then be brought back in the nearest safe location. So if someone was on a plane when they got snapped, they wouldn't come back in midair and die. They would come back to the nearest safest location they could. That was what they did to explain that Hulk was smart enough that he thought that stuff when he snapped his fingers that they would come back in a nearby safe location to where they were.
Right. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, because that's going to address things like your plane. It's going to address things like the building. There's a new building where you left. Now you're inside of a solid object.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
That's fine. Okay, so that's a bit of a cop out, but that's fine. I'll allow that. Okay, so let's throw the next scenario at you now. Let's say your partner leaves you. Let's just assume let's say you and your girlfriend break up, Lucas. Right? Now, sure. Okay, let's make it worse. Let's say she dies. 5 years' time, there's every chance that you're going to find someone new in life, right? So imagine this for a minute. You snap out, you immediately blink back in, your apartment's all rearranged, and it might not be your apartment. Or your girlfriend's here, and now she's with some other guy, and they have kids. That's a really ugly turn of events, and you did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Like, think about your life just got dramatically turned upside down. Like that's...
Yeah. That kind of... Yeah.
What now? I mean, you've got kids.
That's a small thing to nitpick, though, because
and I'm just throwing ideas out there.
Because, like, hypothetically, right? If I got snapped away, and I came back 5 years later, and my partner had moved on, I thought I was dead. I'm gone for 5 years. I may have only been gone for a couple of seconds.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. But it's ugly, right? It's the stuff that we don't want to talk about. But this is what's interesting is you could do. This is the sort of stuff that they could have covered in a Netflix show really well because it's dark and depressing enough that it would have slotted really well into like Jessica Jones or something like that. Like people dealing with the fact that in a blink of an eye they lost everything. Like that. That's interesting, but it's probably not suitable for sort of the Disney sort of side of things. But it's something that people perhaps didn't think about. You know. When you lose half the population, so obviously, I mean, you have chaos. That's the first thing that's going to happen. I mean, it's not quite sure. Well, we see a little bit of it. We see a helicopter hitting a building, and we see cars skidding out of control. Like there's the start of chaos. I think the looting and the rioting and just the craziness that would have been followed would have been insane. But let's assume that you get it back under control. Essential services is the first thing that's going to collapse. Okay, so you're talking about fire, police, ambulance, that sort of stuff. Like they're now in turmoil. Your electricity production, resource production. All these things are now in turmoil, but they slowly come back to, being under control, of course. Earth starts healing. I mean, as much as we all, everyone hates what Thanos did, there was a reason for what he did. And, even in game, Captain talks about the whales coming upstream. So pollution's down, starvation's down, unemployment's down, the Earth's starting to repair. All right, all these are kind of, you could argue, are good things. Okay, stock market after the snap would have just crashed horribly because consumer demand is down 50%. Right, so you've got massive economic turmoil. Okay, so all of that stuff is happening in a big way. Who's creating food? You're gonna lose half your farmers. Sure, the demand's down as well, but trained and skilled people is what is it going to happen to housing prices? You've got neighborhoods that are now half empty.
Yeah,
right. These are all big problems. The bigger problem is when you flip that back around. You've got a world of 4 billion people. You've just got, after 5 years, back to a point where you're producing enough food, electricity, resources, and an economy to support 4 billion people. Then you go, 8 billion people.
Yeah.
Holy shit! You can't feed that many people. The electricity system is just going to collapse under the burden. You've got people who would have moved countries, moved house. You've got kids who are orphaned, who then got probably replaced with parents who'd lost children. Now coming back, and where's my kid? You've got to get these families back together, but your kid's now spent 5 years growing up with another family, so there's the emotional trauma of being torn from that family to be put back with your original family. Holy shit! It works as a story piece in a comic book, but to just go 5 years later, by the way, has enormous impacts on society, on the Earth, on a global scale that is just never dealt with in any meaningful way in Spider-Man Far From Home. How do you even begin to grasp this?
I feel like it'll be good if they did on Disney Plus, a documentary style thing of what happens to the world after the.
I mean, look, the obvious answer is the obvious answer is when we got into this stuff with
like
a Nat Geo style documentary. That I get it. It would be cool if they delved into that type of thing, but there's a reason why we didn't get, post New York movie. We kind of did with Iron Man dealing with his PTSD of going into space, but there's a reason why we never got a post-Sokovia movie. That stuff will just work itself out within the context of the universe and within the context of the story that they're telling. Sure, those things have happened. We know that they've happened. We've seen the ramifications of those happening. But it's just assumed that humanity continues to persevere and will continue to do what it's always done.
Sure.
Is to continue to move on.
But I think something like losing half the species, well, not just the species, we're talking about, entire ecosystems. You're losing, lions and llamas and half of Africa's life is gone and then comes back. The disruption, I think, is look, it serves as a fantastic plot device in the movies, don't get me wrong. And in Doctor Who, you'd argue something like shut up because, and it's fine because it's a fucking movie, so stop nitpicking. I get that. But I'm just saying, step back for a moment realistically. I think it's just fucking disaster. The blip was just as devastating, if not more so, than the snap. But it's not discussed. It's not dealt with in any way, shape, or form. The reality of the situation is you would probably blip back into a fucking vigilante Fallout wasteland. It wouldn't be people sad. I think it would just degenerate into dark times, and it'd be a shitstorm, and then people would just blip back in and get fucking butchered. I can't see it ending well. I can't see the economy being robust enough to survive that kind of a fucking wobble. I can't imagine food production and resources survive. It would just be fucked. It'd just be the end, I think, of humanity in any meaningful way. It would take like we've been here before. Like you look at the plague that tore through Europe. Right, it wiped out 30% of the human race. It took them hundreds of years to sort of get back to where they were. And things like culturally, you're losing some of the greatest minds on the Earth. Can you live without certain key people for 5 years? I mean, what if the president and the vice president both went? Who's running the fucking country? That's why they don't get on the same plane together in case it gets bombed, right? Like, just
they have
chaos.
a thing called a designated survivor. If you've seen the Keith Sutherland TV show,
well, Keith Sutherland needs to get in on the MCU.
There is a legit chain of command when it comes to things like that.
Yeah. But you also lost, as I said, half your police force, half your army, half of everything. Like, it's
that's assuming everything's split down the middle, though. Like, you're not going to have straight 50-50 split.
No.
Like,
no.
Like, I can kind of see where they're coming from in that it could be a compelling story, but, if you think about it, they kind of they did, but they didn't address it in Spider-Man. In that, hey, we've had the blip. The blip has happened. Hey, look, it's 8 months later, and everything's okay. We're all doing fine. Like, that's kind of their acknowledgement for it.
Yeah, but I don't think... Can you imagine the psychological damage done to most of these people? It's just... I mean, even show you in Endgame how everyone's depressed and fucked up. And yeah, you'd be happy that people had come back, but that damage is, like, done as well. Like, it's... No one walks away from this event unscathed, by and large,
No, not at all.
No,
it's what happened. What happens to my house? Where did my house go? Where's my bank account? Where's my belongings?
Is that anyone did? Like, it's kind of it's drawing.
It's going to be interesting to see.
It's just drawing conclusions from something that never really happened. Like, there's nothing in the films that say anyone walked away being like, well, glad we got out of that one. Haha.
No, but it's not even addressed at all, and it's like if you look at.
It's addressed though by being like, again, like the whole not the prologue, but the whole introduction to Spider-Man Far From Home is them telling us, hey, look, everything's back to normal now, and that's kind of like,
yeah, but it wouldn't just go.
It wouldn't, but again, we're talking about a movie, like we're talking about a film series.
I know, but I agree, and I understand that. But could they not show? Could they not show?
Do they need to? Do we need 45 minutes of being like, oh well, this is how we get means of production back into play? Like, it doesn't need to happen. Like, for me personally, I got enough exposition at the start of Spider-Man Far From Home to be like, hey, listen, shit's a little bit still fucked up, but hey, we're dealing with it. We're making do with what we can, which is kind of what they say. Like, things are only starting to get back to normal 8 months later, and if everyone coming back right during the blip, my best in a I'm trying to think of the right words how to say this, but like in a best case scenario, everyone acknowledges, hey, everyone's back, we need to be better as a society and to get things back on track so everyone works together. This would do away with world conflict. This would do away with essentially world wars.
I think you could say that in an MCU because it's not Earth, but I think in a real Earth you couldn't, because humans never get along and humans will never pull together. I think in an idealized comic book Earth, sure, that's possibly a plausible excuse.
Yeah, but like, again, we're dealing with a comic book Earth. We're not dealing with a real Earth. In a real Earth, this would be a completely different situation. But
it'd be Mad Max.
They give you enough exposition at the start of Spider-Man to say, hey, we're okay.
Yeah, and I think I would like to have seen.
We shouldn't need to delve in the economics of how one snap changed.
But you could do things like. You could do things like, I really wish we could get this, but since the blip, there's been a shortage. Stuff like that. Like, it's just everything is exactly as it was. There's no sign of the effect that it would have left on the Earth physically and economically and all the rest of it. There's no sign of it at all. And I just think it's too big an event not to
again though we have
show signs.
There's 8 months. Like, there's 8 months of
but it's not enough time. It's not enough time.
But also, we still also have Shang-Chi as well as other series coming out, which could delve more into that too.
I agree. It probably would be better suited to, like, if the Netflix stuff had stuck around, that would have been a perfect medium, because it's there would be so much that you could show, and in a movie, you just don't have time for that junk. I get that.
Side note as well, though, how are we going to fit 45 minutes of, like, look how depressingly shit the world is in a Spider-Man film. Like,
yeah, I agree. Like as I said, like I just
again,
said,
that's not
yeah,
the
you
movie,
don't have
that's not the movie to do it in.
No, you don't. And and at the same time, like like we've all agreed, like so the Spider-Man film felt almost like an epilogue, really. You know, it's going to be interesting to see what Marvel does in the next film. You know, directly, not Sony so much.
So this is kind of going off the actual topic, but it's going to be interesting knowing what we know is because we got the Eternals right. So realistically, the first movie post Endgame, hypothetically, is Shang-Chi. Because Black Widow's a prequel.
Yeah.
Eternals is like a movie spanning all these millennia. So I wonder if they're going to ignore Spider-Man. That's just something that's just popped in my head now. But that would be interesting. Because, again, like, Shang-Chi is a very supernaturally type thing. Like, I wonder if they could just explain that away with, like... And as well, like, again, this is where, like, you know, hey, look, we now know that there are... we know that there's sorcerers and stuff. And you know, you've got Thor with New Asgard, and you've got all these other things. Like, the world that they're living in is a very different world to the world we're living in. So,
yeah, absolutely.
like, you know, it could just be a matter of, you know, having the sorcerers conjure fresh fields to farm in. Or, you know, it could be anything. Like, we don't know what's happened in the background.
No. And I guess, like, it would be, for some of us, that it would be cool to sort of have, even if it's just even if they do a comic book series, that'd be really fucking neat, actually. You know, you do a 6-part miniseries that just follows an average Joe through that 5-year period and what they went through, and then sort of talks about what was going on in the world. I think that would be kind of interesting, you know, and maybe seeing some stories from people, not superheroes so much, but just people who, you know, the sadness of the snap and then the elation of the blip, but how all that impacted their lives. That'd be kind of neat. Maybe even like an interview series. I don't know. It's not going to be for everybody, but I think that would be kind of interesting. And I'd like to see the sort of the psychology behind it as well. Like, that would really interest me. And I think, again, we could have had that with Netflix if they were still on board. I don't think you're going to see it with the Disney Plus stuff. But it's probably the most significant event in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to date, I feel. You know, if it was 6 months, it wouldn't have been as bad, but the fact that it's 5 years, like, that's 5 years without Spider-Man. That was 5 years. How was crime going in New York? That'd be really interesting to know, because we lost a lot of superheroes out of New York.
Yeah.
You know, it's just interesting. I'm not saying it's essential, and I'm not saying it had to be there, and I'm not criticizing Spider-Man for not, you know, including all that junk. But it's just such a significant event, and it would have had such an impact in any world, let alone, you know, 616 or our own world. And it just sort of, I'd be interested to see if it's addressed. That's all.
Something else. This is something we haven't even really spoken about, but something else I've really just realized too is end of Black Panther. Remember how, like, T'Challa was like, they're gonna help bring Wakanda into the 21st century and share the technology.
Yeah, that's possible.
You know,
they had farming solutions and things like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
but again, we'll have to sort of see.
Farming solutions though, but like using the vibranium that they have to basically like repair all the infrastructure and do all the work. Like, keep in mind that Wakanda was essentially like maybe a century or two ahead in terms of technology compared to the rest of the world, because they kept all their secrets under wraps. So if it's just a matter of, like, you know, for all we know, the Wakandans could have essentially had a backup plan and been like, oh, cool, you know, we have the greatest minds in our country.
I definitely think it's
what we could do, and then that's implemented on a grand scale. Again, like, we're kind of going into like hypotheticals here, but
I know, isn't it great? This is exactly the sort of topic as we're sitting in the garden furniture in the backyard drinking alcohol. This is exactly what we would be talking about for hours.
Yeah,
but
like, again, there are tons of variables that we don't know.
There is, exactly. Yeah, it's an interesting subject, though, and I think it's one that people could definitely talk about. Probably talk about to death. I might even think about something on Facebook, like a poll or a question, and we'll sort of throw it at people, and, you know, they might say, "Yep, Toby, shut up. You know, you're ruining my immersive experience," or they might have some interesting opinions of their own, or some suggestions about how 616 recovered so quickly, like you say. So, well, I guess we'll ask them.
I still don't like the fact that the Marvel Studios universe is 616, but go on.
Yeah.
It might not be. I mean, it's going off.
To be fair,
Spider-Man
as
says,
well, I guess Mysterio was lying.
He's lying about a lot of things, so yeah. All right. We'll leave that topic there. Again, it's one of those topics I think you could have some pretty heated debates about, and I think you could probably philosophize and hypothesize a bit for hours on end. What's coming in the next fortnight, Ethan?
This weekend we have It Chapter 2.
Nice.
So excited.
And he just can't hide it. I know.
Let's have a look at the rest. So It Chapter 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's all for movies.
Okay.
I don't know about Netflix.
Don't know about Netflix?
Give me a sec.
Oh, there is something coming to Netflix.
The Island, new shitty looking Netflix show. 12th of September.
Oh, I know the new season of Disenchantment's coming. The Matt Groening,
that's right. Yeah.
Matt Groening.
No, there's honestly not much coming. Not much in the next fortnight at all. No, that's it.
I swear there was something coming.
Not that I can see.
Oh no, it's the next part of Jon Favreau's Chef Show. That's what it is. If you haven't watched that, it is awesome. Like he did that chef movie years ago with Scarlett Johansson, where now like the guy that he worked with on the film, that he was in the story of the guy he was inspired by, him, the two of them basically have teamed up for a Netflix show. The first 6 episodes are great. Like Tom Holland's in it, Gwyneth Paltrow's in it.
Robert Downey Jr.
The guy Binging with Babish from YouTube, he's on it. Yeah, they all are in the first part, but the second part is next week.
Right, yeah. All right then. So really, it's just about it. There doesn't seem to be anything on the radar at the moment for streaming services.
Nah.
Fair enough. All right then. Well, we'll be back next fortnight. Hopefully, we'll have seen the It by then. Hopefully, I can think up another exciting topic of conversation that'll get us all discussing and yakking away. Thank you very much for everyone tuning in. Huge thank you going out to our Patreon support as well. Hope make this podcast possible. And keep an eye out for the poll or questionnaire on Facebook. And we'll be back next fortnight. Dun 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 dun.